Hey guys, my name is Blackburn Tiger BBC or Fury here, back with another video. Today we're going to be going over Landorus-Therian draft analysis. This is of course part of a series of content creators of the PCL analyzing a Pokemon and how it can do in draft. Landorus-Therian is definitely a Pokemon that has a lot going for it. And of course it is one of the, if not the best, most splashable mons in draft. And we have a lot to go over, so let's get started. This is the basic premise of Landorus-Therian. Its stats are pretty middling, but that 145 attack is definitely huge. And its typing definitely helps that, as its stabs are pretty good. Its offensive stats aren't bad, either. And Intimidate is definitely a great ability for it, as it allows defensive stats to actually work, since its defenses are still middling, but 90 and 89 defenses are pretty good, since its typing definitely works to its advantage. And it's good for offensive sets because it allows them to often find switch-ins. And that's definitely a plus. That speed is kind of middling for offensive sets, but a Scarf can definitely help that, and overall, it's pretty good Pokemon for offensive and defensive perspects. Moves are pretty limited. Earthquake, Fly, if you want Flyinium, since it can't really abuse its Flying Stab, Defog, Stealth Rock, Stone Edge, Knockoff, Rock Polish, Sword Stance, U-Turn, and Toxic, along with Substitute, Explosion, Bulk Up, Rock Tomb, and Hammer Arm. Lots of usable moves, and because its move pool is huge, but you can look over them. I can't really mention them here. Is Landorus-Therian worth drafting? Definitely, because first off, its defensive prowess with its typing is definitely something that cannot be overestimated because of how good it just works. It can wall lots of surprising mons, and because of that typing, and its offensive prowess is pretty good as well because its items can work very well for it, especially some Z crystals and some scarves, even banded. And its stab is also very great, so both its typing is a blessing for its offensive and defense, and it can always use some unexpected moves, which of course leads us to the biggest point in my opinion, the fact that it's versatile. In draft, you have to be versatile. You can't have your opponent know your set, or else you're going to be pretty much out of the water. But Landorus-Therian does not suffer from this problem. It has lots of sets that you can use, and its move pool is huge, its stats are pretty good, they allow you to run it however you want, and that's definitely a big advantage in draft. And that's how Landorus-Therian can actually just overcome most of its checks and counters. These are just the popular sets, they are kind of what, in my opinion, are the best sets of their categories. Scarf Landorus, in my opinion, is the best of the offensive sets. Defensive Landorus as well. Defensive Landorus, it's pretty much the only one. There are other variants, but generally this is the one I kind of consent to. And Flyinium and Rockium are there because they definitely take advantage of Landorus's huge attack. And as mentioned before, Flyinium helps Landorus abuse its second stab, and Rockium helps it break through some of those flying types that it previously couldn't break through. Checks and counters are kind of hit and miss. Bulky waters are a massive problem for most sets due to their natural ability to just take hits, and they usually pack a water move or an ice move, which water moves sometimes don't have a chance of OHKOing Landorus, but ice moves do. However, bulky waters can't really switch in that often due to the fact that they're kind of um, overpowered by the amount of attack that Landorus has along with stab. Defensive variants will struggle, however, since they don't usually run full physical attack and defense. Ice types can power through, but they usually can't switch in, more or less than water types. Hidden Power Ice is an often countermeasure against Landorus. It is even used on physical attackers. But without enough chip, Landorus-Therian can survive some of the attacks, and trust me, you don't want Landorus-Therian hitting you at all. Due to Landorus-Therian's speed, it is often outsped by most attackers, and they usually pack coverage for it. And that doesn't really spell good news for Landorus due to its middling defensive stats. Scarves can be a good solution to this problem as they make Landorus-Therian's speed more tolerable, but it kind of limits it since it also gets outsped by anything else with a scarf that's faster than it. And while Landorus-Therian is immune to all hazards except rocks, it doesn't have any reliable recovery out of leftovers, and it's kind of often chipped because of its milling defenses. And if it's switching out on a physical attacker, it still will take some damage, and it does not appreciate having its leftovers knocked off. And so it can only be switched in so many times before it's actually just brought down. Draft partners are pretty good for Landorus-Therian. Its typing is very good for some pairings, such as Toxapex, Volcanion, and Napoleon. These pairings work very well. Even if Toxapex is still weak to Psychic, that can still be fixed with a Steel type. And Landorus-Therian can usually fill in most spots for Core, though these three are kind of just godly cores. Pokemon that resist ice and water are great partners as they help alleviate Landorus-Therian's biggest weaknesses, and Watermons are a felt good option. This is an optional partner because it's only useful if you build your team around Landorus, but having Pokemon that appreciate having their items knocked off or have an item that can't be knocked off are pretty helpful, because Landorus-Therian will always rely on its item unless it's carrying Z Crystal itself, like Scarves or Leftovers. Especially defensive Pokemon, or Pokemon that can't take physical hits in general, appreciate Landorus-Therian's ability to just come in for free and cripple their physical defense. Well, not defense, attack. And they also help in return to fix Landorus-Therian's bad special defense. That can be kind of fixed with Assault Vest, but that's kind of uncommon. And lastly, webs are very good for offensive sets, as Landorus is not the fastest mon on Earth. And it definitely appreciates them because its huge attacks is very good, and it appreciates the ability to outspeed most threats. It also helps Scarf sets because in case of the Scarfer is also carrying a Scarf, then Landorus-Therian can actually outspeed itself. So, final verdict? A+, no doubt. Landorus-Therian is versatile, it's powerful, it's got defense, it's a package in one. Its typing is a great blessing for cores, and it's overall just so versatile. It's definitely worthy of A+. It does have its own share of checks and counters. It definitely won't win you every match. But if you use it well, and use it the way it's supposed to be, the results will be promising. Use it to however you want, because Landorus-Therian is a versatile mon, and definitely can work with whatever you can bring. If you think its set is the best against your opponent, then damn well it's the best against your opponent. With that, guys, that has been it for the PCL draft analysis for Landorus-Therian. The next batch should be soon out. We're gonna be trying to get these more out more often, since we kind of want to be more active, and I definitely want to be more active too. And Landorus-Therian is definitely a mon that I kind of had to take some time to get to, because trust me, Landorus-Therian is a much more versatile mon, and there's definitely more information I could put in here, but I would like to just summarize it up for you. Anyways, guys, this has been Fury, or BBT here, and I'll see you guys later.